phenomenal job. I mean, we got somebody in Becky that, from an experience standpoint, she's been a Division I college trainer, and I never question anything. What she tells me, that's just what we do. And we're lucky to have somebody like that. I feel fortunate as a coach that I don't have to go in there, look over her shoulder, and be worried about what's going on. I just take care of coaching the team with these guys. And so, Becky, thank you. I left out her #1 credential. She made the Indiana Athletic Trainers Hall of Fame last year. She might be the only one on the staff that's in any halls of fame, so we should probably plug that. Wayne, you guys that have been around here know that he is indispensable. I've told him when he retires from Mini League, I will not, the Mini League is over. Because there's too much, the amount of time and effort that he puts into that is unbelievable. And so it starts with Mini League, and then just all the sports here. You guys know all the pictures he takes and all the games he goes to and all that stuff. And so right on through the season, and then he also puts together this DVD. You just saw this with the help this year of Crystal, who takes some great pictures also. I was concerned that Jalen might be in all the pictures there. But no, she does great. She's been taking pictures of these guys for years, and does a great job. So Crystal, thank you also. In addition to that, I better make sure we get wives in, coaches and the wives. So wives, those of you who have even coached a youth sport, if you just coach the Mini League team, you know what kind of commitment that takes at home with your family, because you can't take kids and somebody else has got to coordinate and all that. And that's for like one practice for an hour and one game a week. And you know what that takes, and they just pick the magnitude of that to do it as a full-time, and to have the support at home that we do, especially when you're juggling 3 of them there. And Greg's got 3, and we're going to be expecting more out of you guys.
Are the Sturgeons having another baby?
They are not. We let you take care of that. So, one person I want to talk about briefly before I talk about the assistant coaches is Coach Eads. I hate to interrupt you, but you look like you're tearing up that strawberry shortcake. Come on up here a second. Come on. Coach Eads has been indispensable with our program. First of all, let's give her congratulations with the golf program. The state for the 2nd year in a row, and with H leading the way. Yes, and so good job there. But Brett has coached the seniors since they were 5th graders, and the guys, the juniors, coached, I mean, right on down through our program, and continued even after Harrison got in high school, continued to help us with the middle school program. And, you know, I say all the time, it's to have guys who are in the high school staff who should be head coaches. Well, we've even got it all the way down through the middle school to have a guy be a varsity head coach running the middle school stuff. And from my perspective, I don't even worry about the middle school. I just know he's doing it. We talked for about a half an hour, I think, the first year when I got the head coaching job. We talked there a little bit. We've barely discussed it since then. He just kicks butt with that and is organized. And those kids all come to me. I don't have to coach unselfishness and playing hard. He's already taken care of all that and being all about the team and all those things. So we've milked this, I think, as long as we can to convince him to keep coaching the 8th graders, although I wanted to public, I thought I might try to get a commitment out of him another year here. Open invitation, you can pick your spot anywhere in the program if you want to keep on coaching. We got a spot for you. But we want to do something special for him. And so we got something here for Brooklyn the Butcher. Take the family out.
Thank you.
So Brett's just done an unbelievable job. The next two guys with thank yous here with Coach Walters and Coach Miller. You guys, I know, have probably heard these guys are going to be moving on next year. Coach Walters is going to have a chance to coach his son over at North Harrison. Trey's going to be coming up through, and he's going to do that. Coach Miller, is there an announcement? Or can we officially make the announcement?
Yep.
You want to tell them?
Yeah. Well, look at my children, all in green tonight, but they're going to be wearing blue over at Providence, my alma mater.
He's the head coach at Providence, okay? Starting next week. So these guys have been unbelievable. As I just mentioned when I was talking about Brett, to have guys, Greg's been a head coach, has turned down opportunities, could have been head coach again, and Ryan has had Providence coming at him year after year, wanting him to do that job, and to have guys on the bench with me who are varsity head coaches has just been invaluable. And so we're so fortunate with those guys. And so thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Let's get the awards going, right? We got the food. That was maybe the most important thing. Now let's give away the awards. We're going to start. We say academics are first, so we're going to start with that. And so we'll start with the academic awards. Here's what I would like you guys to do. But that's a, how about if I read them here and then I'll hand them to you, and if you want to get them out. Here's what we're going to do. If your name is, once your name is written, come up here. I'm going to read them off. Coach Miller and Coach Walters, and then we'll hand them to you and shake your hand, and then line up here. Moms, get locked and loaded with the cameras. We'll have them stay up here, and then we can get a picture with each group as they get an award, okay? And so, we should have gotten Nate. You just graduated from first grade, didn't you? Yeah. Oh, he's going to first grade. Okay, so he should have gotten an academic award. So, let me, a couple things here. The awards here are for the guys who have at least got 3 semesters. Freshmen, you got to do it for more than 1 semester. So that your whole freshman year and up through the grades that we have so far. So sophomores, the end of first semester, people that have a 3.8 or better GPA, which is essentially what would get you on into National Honor Society. And we've had an unbelievable run here from an academic standpoint. Just last year, Braxton was the #1 kid in the senior class last year. Cam's the senior class president. Next year, Grant's going to be senior class president, and he's the #1 ranked student in the class next year. And so we've had an unbelievable run. I think 4 of the last 6 Mr. Floyd Centrals have been basketball players. And so we've had a phenomenal run of students. And when you see how many guys come up here with a 3.8 or better grade point average, you're going to see why I say all the time at Floyd Central, really all I've got to do is coach basketball. Because if Brett ramrods everything at the middle school, Wayne runs the mini league, and you guys have done a good job parenting, so I don't have to do that. And so, so here we go. In no particular order, God bless his heart, Levi's on here, #1. And so Levi is sick. He got mono, and he's been struggling for a couple of weeks. And he's looked like the Walking Dead the last couple of days. He's been trying to get his finals and all that AP stuff done. And so Levi Seawer and Kevin Woodruff. How about you come to this, Kevin? You take it.
Go that way.
You can handle it. How's that? Jalen Popes, come on down. Cam Sturgeon, come on down. Ben Purvis. There's Seeds. Gabe Cora. Will Ballard. Oh, by the way, I also failed to mention, and Will's the #1 ranked sophomore in the school. Now, you freshmen need to pick it up a little bit, okay? That's a pretty good run. Thomas Hibbert. Thomas, we ran into some holiday issues with these guys. And Jake Heidbreeder. Jake is an AAU vet in Chicago, as is Grant Goldman. And as we said, Grant is the #1 ranked junior in the class and will be the senior class president next year. Hang on. How many of you have above 4? So most of you above 4. Now, including the freshmen, if you have above a 3.0, stand up. So you can see there, that's fantastic. So we're really fortunate. So good job, guys. Congratulations. All right. Now Coach Weimer's going to come up and talk a little bit about the freshman season, but I didn't do it to him, but I was going to. My favorite moment from the season, it is Coach Weimer is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and they were coming to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, and we were going back and forth a little bit, so we decided to make a little wager, and so we decided on whoever's team lost would have to run sprints in front of the team. Well, I was so hoping the freshmen had a game right before Christmas that they were going to win. So somewhere in our house we had an old Johnny Unitas Colts jersey, and I've got a Colts Santa Claus hat with the horseshoe on the side of it. So the freshmen won, everybody's happy, and we stop before everybody goes off, and we put Coach Weimer in the jersey and the Santa Claus hat, and he runs his sprints out there on the court at the freshman game. So
I paid my debt, right, Coach?
you did pay your debt.
Always pay your debt. Yeah.
So anyway, again, very fortunate with Coach Weimer and Coach Goldman, guys that are just passionate about Floyd Central and passionate about kids and working with kids. They just love doing it. Their kids have gone on, and but they love being around it, and so we're fortunate to have guys that enjoy it that much doing it. And so, enough said. Coach Weimer, tell us about the season.
All right, thanks, Coach.
You mean I'll pass it? Yep.
When we get done?
As soon as you're done.
Okay. I just got a little note card. That's kind of what I go off of. First of all, I really enjoyed, as Coach Goldman did, coaching the freshman team this year. We always like getting new groups coming out from Coach Eads. Coach Eads and I have coached together for about 3 or 4 years, so our standards are pretty high, and we both realize what it takes to win ball games. So I asked Coach Goldman if he wanted to say any words on, or please say words on his behalf, and I asked him about our team, and I said, what was the first word you could think of? Well, he said meek. Well, a guy like myself doesn't know what that means, okay, and I apologize. So I had to look that up. And meek was quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on. That was our group that we got. If you know anything about their parents, other than Jeff Poets, most of their parents are pretty quiet too. So it took us a little while to get used to these guys. And as you all know, the first game we go to Jeff, always like to talk about 3 or 4 games, and they beat us, how much, guys? By about 20 points. And I'm not going to lie, I took the heat on that loss, but I was trying to prove a point. Because it wasn't about mom and dad screaming at them in the stands or the coaches screaming at them. I just said, boys, it's time to grow up. If you want to play varsity basketball like these guys have done and win 20 games a year, you've got to start becoming young men. And that's one thing Coach Goldman and I do. We try to make these guys become young men. Our job is to get them to the varsity level. With that being said, we go to Columbus East. What happened in that tournament? We were down 19-4. Once again, I called timeout. I said, this is quite embarrassing, guys. We need to change what we're doing. What happened? We came back. It was one of the best comebacks I've been a part of. We ended up winning that game. Then we go and we beat Jeff on the back end of the season. And then we finish the year beating St. X, who throttled us earlier in the year. So all in all, we went from meek to having a little bit of toughness in leadership. And that's kind of the way Coach Goldman and I go to work. He's more of, does get into practice and get it done. And then when we go to the games, we're kind of like, guys, you play. And I think throughout the year, a lot of you guys came along. You were more vocal. You worked a lot harder. And you kind of started seeing what it's going to take to play at the high school level. It does make me feel a little bit old because I went to school with a lot of the kids that I'm coaching now. But it's good to see you all coming up through Floyd Central because I know that a lot of your parents went to Floyd Central, and that's a big deal in my heart. So our record, we finished 17-3, which if you look at Floyd Central's history, what's our goal every year, I think, is to at least win 20 games now. We're on that path and being ranked in the state. And I think you guys and the guys ahead of you can keep that going. With that being said, though, we're going to have you guys up here. You can accept your certificate. Coach Goldman and I don't do any awards because you're at freshman level. We think that should be given on down the road. So, again, thanks to Coach and parents. Thank you a lot for all that you did. You guys were real patient with us. You never got involved in what we did, and there wasn't a question of playing time or what my kid needs to do. You always were asking, what do I need to do to get my kid better? So, there you go. All right.
All right, you guys, freshmen, come on up. I'll pass these off to you. You can shake Coach Weimer's hand, get your certificate. Hold on, one time. I'll read them out here for you, okay? Brandon Fessel. And then stay up here in case somebody wants to get a picture. We'll have you guys all together, okay? Help me with Wesley's name.
We call him Celery. Wesley Celery. Salahowski. See, I can call him Celery because I know his mother real well. You know, Coach Goldman and I, we like to give nicknames, so you're going to hear some of that going on as they're coming up here.
You improve as much the next calendar year as you did the last calendar year, and everybody's going to know how to pronounce your name. Good job.
Wes is easy.
Max Trippier. Ryan Graves. Will Fisher.
Fisher was called Jagger. We call him Jagger. That's a big Jagger.
Nathaniel Hoffman.
This is Hasselhoff. Hoffman is called Hasselhoff.
Jackson Farley.
We're going to play defenses.
Cole Herrick.
Great.
Kyle Post.
Kyle caught a little bit of hard stuff from Coach Weimer because I expect the point guards to know everything, right, Kyle? But he did a great job. He drew a lot as the year went on.
George Bouch.
Back to back, George. Good job.
Zachary Sims.
Mills. I call him Mills this year, all year long, and I apologize. I told him that.
glad these guys coach better than they name. Devenert. Ray Schuler. Coach Miller's got the, while Coach Miller's getting them all the DVD, Coach Weimer wants to say something about one more guy.
Yes. Lando, come up here.
Come on up.
Come on up. So Logan, did I call him Lando? Logan? Call him Lando, sorry. Logan is our manager. He did a lot of work for us. And also, he got to play some basketball, so we got him in a couple games.
He led the state in manager scoring.
He did. He did. And I did show up to school the other day, and guess who was shooting on the gun? Logan was. Yes, he was. He was there shooting on the gun. All right, we're good.
Good job, Phil.
Thanks.
Good job. All right, next up is going to be the JV guys. The way I kind of run practice in the games is difficult for the JV guys. They don't get a lot of reps. They're supposed to not only know our stuff without getting to practice it very much, then they also have to know the scout team, the team we're going to play every week, and they don't get any time to practice that either. We're just like, you go there, and we're going to call it 5, and now go. And then we yell at them when they get it wrong. So these guys have done a great job with that, and they really improved as the season went along. And so Coach Walters will talk a little bit about the season, and then we've got one award to give. Okay?
I'm going to have these guys, I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to have you guys come on up here and stand with me. There's only 5 of us here. There was 9 of us on the team. Brady and Grant, some travel, Quinn and Shay, unable to make it. But we started out this season, and I'll be honest, it was a little rough, as Coach was saying. Not only are we trying to get together what we're doing, but then we're going against the 4th best team in the state, who, is having their way with them. And, Coach is over there getting a little frustrated. We're trying to learn what we're doing, what the other teams that we're going to play are doing. So we're the scout team too. But in the end, it made us a lot better. Obviously, being able to go against top competition, and those guys, being able to be pushed by them, I think was tremendous and had a huge impact on our later success in the season. I remember, I think we were at was it Lawrence North there early in the season, and then we're playing through Albany, and Grant goes down with a sprained ankle, and I think maybe somebody dunked on us, and we're kind of in a haze there, and then we were able to build on that and go kind of on a winning streak to end out the season. Although our last game didn't necessarily go the way we liked it, but we played some really good ball down the stretch and had some big wins against good teams. And I was just really proud of the guys and their effort all year, because the way it started, we could have just tanked, and we didn't. They kept fighting, getting better in practice, learning what we were doing, what the coaching staff was expecting. And by the end, we were a pretty well-oiled machine, playing some pretty good basketball. So I was really proud of the effort and the guys. Before I go on much more, I just want to thank all the parents. I know at the JV level, not everybody can drive and get everybody to and from practice. I know some guys helped us out and kept the books. Some parents did this year. If Tom's out there on Facebook, thank you, Tom. He helped quite a bit with the book, and I know some other people did it too. And I just wanted to thank everybody. And like I said, we had a great season. Maybe it didn't start out the way we wanted, but it sure finished that way. And as a coach, it was definitely rewarding to be able to coach a group of guys who worked so hard and never really heard anybody complain. Like I said, we were struggling, they just kept battling. And I think that's a testimony to their parents too. I mean, just a bunch of great guys. Like I said, it could have been, but it wasn't. It was actually a fun season where we got better and learned a lot. And I think that'll definitely be a positive for Floyd Central basketball in the future here, as these guys will contribute. Max Carr played some JV basketball. He's not here this evening. Our man Kevin Woodruff right here. Kevin, big time. He really was a defensive guy around the rim, especially in practice. You probably asked Kobe a few times.
Get out of Kevin's paint.
Kevin's got a new haircut.
He does have a good haircut.
Hey, Kevin, that barber, give Cam that number.
Brady Moore, who's not with us tonight either, but he was a freshman that played for us this year. Caleb Quinnishay, who was unable to make it. Gabe Cora. Gabe. And then we had Will Bowers. I don't know if I misplaced your guys' stuff over there, or
Who was this?
we're missing one for Ben and Seth.
Oh, you know what?
They're on varsity.
They're probably going to get them.
I was going to get one here in a minute. But we also had Ben and Seth, who had great years, like I said. And I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity and all the parents for all their support and raising such great kids. It was a pleasure. Thank you. All right, last thing on the JV, we don't give too many awards, but we do have one this evening, and that's the Player of the Year. Grant Goldman, who's not able to be here, led our team in rebounds, in scoring. Had a fantastic season, although he spent quite a bit of it being injured. He sprung both of his ankles and struggled there for a stretch, but was able to rebound. And when he was healthy there down the stretch, we played some really good basketball. So Grant, if you're out there, congratulations.
Way to go, Grant. You did it in spite of your father.
We're going to get some certificates in the letter. I want to talk to you a little bit about the letter situation. The school, they used to, every time you lettered, they would give you a physical letter, like the old days, the letter. They've stopped doing that, but they've done something that I think was a great decision by Jeff that I think is better, and that is, if you're a senior athlete and you played a varsity sport, for graduation they give you a cord to wear with your graduation gown that looks really cool. They do that. And not this year's seniors won't be involved, but the rest of the kids, they're now doing a point system to encourage kids to play multiple sports. And so you get 3 points for playing on the freshman team, 5 for playing on the JV, and 10 for lettering on the varsity. And once you get 30 points, the school will give you a $200 certificate to go, I forget which place here in town, and get a letter jacket. And so the school's buying you a letter jacket if you play multiple, you have to play multiple sports for multiple years unless you're a varsity guy early on. So, so we're not giving physical letters, but what we are going to do is all the guys, so that we can make sure everybody gets a DVD in their hand, and we've got some certificates. So the guys that dress varsity games here, I'll call out your name. Grant is not here. Logan Lives is, I think, on Del Hollow Lake right now, down there as we speak. Jacob is up in Rushville with his dad. Cam Sturgis. Ben Purvis.
Yeah, I already go.
Ben and Kevin were on the volleyball team, had great success, made the Final Four. Anybody else? Caleb was, he's not here. Kobe Barnes. He's going to get back. He's going to get a couple of other things there, I think, before it's all said and done. Harrison Eads. Thomas is in Indy. Jalen. keep waiting to see if he's going to pull a Willis Reed.
That's right.
You young guys don't know this,
Go
but the
limping on the-
NBA championships, you limp into the game
Yeah.
and inspire the team there. We keep looking to see if Levi might come around the corner. Seth Burks. Oh, you already got one. Jake Heidbreeder at AAU in Chicago. Nick Winchell. Grant, man, we're back around again. So I mentioned about multiple sports. We got guys. H got the golf team going to maybe a state crown. Ben got helped lead the volleyball team to the Final Four. Cam's got going state in track team. Am I missing anybody on multiple sports?
Married with the football.
Oh yeah, Seth plays football. Yeah, forget about the fall sports guys. So yeah, they had a great year in football. So our guys are doing more, as you see here, a lot more than just showing up at basketball practice. Which, and as long as the season is, that's quite good job, fellas. Miscellaneous things that guys got across the season. All right, we have a few. I don't know if miscellaneous is the right word, but our guys got some nice awards statewide that I wanted to bring them up for, and so we'll start out with Academic All-State. In boys basketball, it's the hardest sport to earn Academic All-State. We had the story that I always tell people is a couple of years ago, an extended member of our family at another school was number 1 or 2 in his senior class and was like a 3-time all-conference player and only made honorable mention All-State. Other sports, if you just get a GPA, you make honorable mention All-State, or I'm sorry, Academic All-State. I misspoke. In basketball, it's really hard. Last year, Coleman made Academic All-State last year, but he was, at an All-State level as a player as well. This year we had 2 honorable mention Academic All-State people: Levi, who's sick and not here, and Cam Sturgeon. So. Since there's nobody else to come up, those guys had to have, I think it was a minimum of a 3.5 unweighted. We had to go back and refigure everybody's grades on an unweighted scale, and be at least a full-time starter on the team to even make honorable mention. Jake Heidbreeder is not here. He made the Subway underclass honorable mention All-State team, which is kind of cool. And he got selected for the Coaches Association has a top 100 underclassmen workout that they bring them in, have college coaches come in July, I think. And Kobe played in that a couple of years ago, and Luke had played in it. And the very few sophomores get selected for it, and he got selected for that as well. Next up, going back to Subway again, Subway sponsors statewide a Player of the Week award. And I can't believe they didn't give you 2 certificates. Kobe won it twice this year, Subway Player of the Week. I guess scored 30 points, 15 rebounds.
Those are free subs for life, Coach? Is that right?
Not free subs for life. You might take that certificate down here at Highlander Point, see if you can get a 6-inch, maybe. I don't know. The all-conference team. Hoosier Hills all-conference team. Our conference has been so good the last couple of years. It's a difficult thing to make. Nick, they didn't give me a certificate. Nick was honorable mention. honorable mention, all Hoosier Hills team. So two of our guys made first team. Jake Heitbreeder got the 5th most votes in the conference, and so he made the first team. And they don't have a conference player of the year, but in my mind, if you get the most votes for the all-conference team, you should be conference player of the year. So Kobe got the most votes for the all-conference team. Well, you're right, you are getting something else. Another Subway sponsorship with the Coaches Association. This is the boys' senior all-state team. Now we're starting to get into rare air with these. I know Kobe has had so many awards here, but this is another one. It says, from the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association and presented by Subway Restaurants of Indiana, awards Kobe Barnes the award of Supreme 15, top 15 players in the state. As we know, he also was going to make the All-Star team, which is top 12 players in the state. But good job. This process here. Now we are. We've done the GED stuff.
You want to hand out the award?
Yeah, I'm gonna start out. You guys can just kill them off one. All right. The one thing is, these guys are always, whether it's games or anything else, reminding them like, hey, here we have to do this thing. And what I didn't get into before we start handing out awards is a little bit of a review of the season. And this has been a hard thing for me. I haven't been able. The one benefit of this banquet getting pushed off is it's given me a chance to kind of the fog to clear and me look favorably onto this season. I heard Brad Stevens, the Celtics, talking. He's got his team in the NBA playoffs, and this was before the playoffs. They were coming back late in the season to play the Pacers. And he was back in Indy, and they're interviewing him, saying, "Hey, are you excited?" He'd been the coach at Butler, and they'd gone to took Butler to 2 NCAA championship games. Are you excited to be back in Indy? And he said, "Yes, we are. We're from here. It's exciting, but I can't help but think about the fact that I cost my team. That if I'd done a better job, we could have won 2 national championships." And that's just the way it is when you coach. You have a tendency to lean on those moments of like, I should have been able to get the boat to shore in critical times. And so it's been hard for me over the last month to get past these guys because we had such a phenomenal year. And when you start thinking about these things, as much as we're disappointed about the last game and how that ended, when you look at back-to-back 20-win seasons, back-to-back conference championships for the first time in school history. All the good teams that they've had here, they've only ever won before the last 2 years 2 conference championships in however 45 years or whatever. And those 2 were not back-to-back. So even the great teams of Pat Graham and those teams did not win back-to-back conference championships. We've been in the top 5 in the state the last 2 years, virtually every week. Start to finish, actually 3 years going back in the top 11 in the state. This year we had the 2nd lowest defensive points allowed in the state. We're 2nd best defensive team in the state on just a points allowed basis. We've broken the school record in fewest points allowed 4 straight years. Last year I thought we lowered it to a number that it wasn't going to be touched again. And these guys came back and lowered it by a full point a game this year. And now have really put it into some place at 43 points a game with the league that we play in the 3-point shot. Good luck somebody getting it below 43, unless we decide we're going to hold the ball. So that says a lot to what these guys have done. Coach Miller, do you think we can get it below 43? Providence might. problem is, Mike, but they're only going to shoot it like 6 times a half. So, and then you look over the course of the last couple of seasons, beating ranked teams all over the state. You know, this year we lose 3 games, and 2 of them are in my entire coaching career, going back longer than I'd like to think. I had never, as a player or a coach, any time lost on a last second. Ball's in the air, horn goes off, game's over. We've lost on a shot late, but you get the ball back, you got time for one more shot with 5 seconds left or something. Never, and it happened twice this year, with both time controversial endings around the thing on no calls or Levi's famous 3.8 second, 5 second call at Jeffersonville and those kind of things. So anyway, my point is, yes, this game, yes, we're disappointed about the last game, but what a phenomenal last couple of years. And then for as great a year as we had the previous year, you guys, we lost Evan, Luke, Brandon, and Matthew all got recruited to play college. We lost 4 college basketball players off of last year's team, and we came back and actually were statistically better. We gave up fewer points. Our margin of victory was greater. And I mean, just a phenomenal job by these guys in the year we had. And I think all of these guys, when you go through the success the varsity team had, the JV team, how they turned their season around and improved, and the year the freshman team had, I think they all deserve a round of applause. So, we got some awards here. Our awards are a little different this year. We had some guys who I thought played critical roles who we just couldn't quite put our finger on things about that. And so we've got, and this first award is for Nick Winchell. Nick, come on up. Stay up here so I can talk. Nick is one of those guys that his value on the team, the best thing he does, he's a ball magnet. So whether it's getting his hand on a ball bounces, it's a long rebound away. You watch on film and Nick runs by 2 guys and gets it. Getting steals, he just had a phenomenal knack that like somehow doesn't show up in the statistics. Like somebody would have more, like a couple more steals, or somebody's got a couple more deflections, or he's not the leading rebounder before a guard of his size gets a phenomenal number of rebounds. And so he's this guy that when we watch plus minus closely. In other words, what happens to the score when you're in the game? And Nick, as the season went along, his plus minus just kept going up, 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 and it's because he did so many things so well. So this award, since we didn't have room on the plaque to put a 900-word description of what I just said, we just called this the Playmaker Award because he's just a guy that makes plays. Whether it's driving it to the basket in a second, we're going to talk about his passing specifically. But in my mind, on one hand, in my entire playing and coaching career, can I think of a guy who just got loose balls and made plays for the team to win like Nick has. So congratulations. Good job. We're going to go with the big ones here, I guess. Okay, actually, you're all right. We'll go your way. All right, Nick. We're not going. We're going to go. Now we're going to go statistical leaders. Bear with us here a second. We give some awards for statistics, but you got to reach a certain level. Every year, like I think since I've been here, we've only given away 1 blocked shot award because I feel like you need to do something at least twice every game. You got to average at least 2 of something in order to deserve an award. If you lead the team, but we don't block any shots, and this year we didn't really block shots on this team. Or if you're going to win the assist award, you got to get at least 3 assists a game, and you got to have more assists than turnovers. Then you're not doing a great thing if you turn it over more than you get baskets. And so, so we have each year guys have to reach a certain level in order to get an award. And our rebound leader this year, we had somebody reach. You have to get at least 5 rebounds a game to get an award, and Kobe actually was at 8. So Kobe Barnes, our lead rebounder. All right, now Nick, you can come back up. The assist leader was Nick Winchell. Nick led us throughout the season, was over 3 assists a game, and our guys that keep the stats, keep the assists pretty tight also. They have a pretty stringent interpretation of assists. But I said you had to have more, in order to get an award for it, you had to have more assists than turnovers. Well, Nick was over 2 to 1, and that really is that's the gold standard. If you're going to be a point guard, you need to have your assist to turnover ratio. As a coach, you want that to be at least 2 to 1, and Nick did that as well. The next category is free. We'll give them for free throws, field goals, and 3-point shooting. Well, this year, the same guy won all 3 of those. In the NBA, they make a big deal out of you are the elite of the elite shooters if you have a 50% field goal percentage, a 40% three-point percentage, and if you're a 90% free throw shooter, you're among the very elite shooters. That's only a handful of guys in the NBA do that during the season. When I say handful, a very small handful reach those kind of numbers. So the 50%, this guy shot 56% from the field. The three-point percentage is 40%. This guy shot 52% from the three-point. The 90, he shot 85 point something, not quite there. The new statistic in shooting is effective field goal percentage, which means you get a three-pointer is obviously worth more, so it bumps your percentage up. We won't get into the math of it. And if you're having an effective field goal percentage of above 60%, that's phenomenal. And Jake Heitbreeder's was almost 69%. His shooting statistics were off the chart. To be a guy that the other team knows you're the best shooter on the other team, and to shoot 52% from the three-point line is a phenomenal number. And so instead of giving him 3 of the smaller plaques, we got him 1 larger one, and we called it the Outstanding Shooter Award for Jake Heitbreeder. And we'll give that. Yes. And then we got those other 3 guys that aren't here. I'm going to announce them as well. Okay, that's the other 3 guys there. This next award is one that over the years, it seems like we only give this award once every maybe 3 or 4 years. And I call it the Coaches Award because it's somebody that does something that the coaches, that they understand, like this isn't showing up on a stat sheet, but this guy does something that is critical for the team winning. My first year, we had a guy on the team, Colton Kemp. Some of you might know Colton. And Colton did not finish first in any statistical category, but he was second or third in everything. And so he got the Coaches Award. And so typically that's the kind of guy that we have. Now this year, we had a team that I thought when the year started, because I've told our guards for the last couple of years, I've been watching them play since they were in 5th grade, and I still didn't know who the best guys were of them, because guys had good games and it varied. But as this season started going quickly on, that first unit started, we followed plus minus, that first unit to plus minus, and so we didn't change the lineup like I had thought we were going to. But we had a second unit that was phenomenal. Guys who, we had guys in our second unit that would be starting for 300 teams in Indiana at a minimum. And we're struggling to get minutes. And those guys were competitive. They wanted to play. They're competing every day in practice. They never once reached a point of doing anything that would be negative to the team. Even though they knew, and I knew, that they were, right there with the guys that were starting. And then sometimes better. They would play better than the guys who were starting. And so we were really fortunate not only to have a great second unit, but to have attitudes that were so unselfish and all. We say this all the time. I've stolen a saying from Coach Knight that the team, it's all about the team. And then we've got that in the locker room, and we say that a lot with the guys. But when you say it, and it's rare that so many guys really buy into that. And so the guys on the second unit, the 5 of them, the 3 who are not here today, Jacob Ray was a guy who late in the season, he was a guy, I told him, I said, we had him and Logan and Cam and Kobe. I said, now you understand, I'm not taking Kobe out of the game unless the referee comes over here and makes me do that, okay? So he's staying in. That only leaves one other spot. And so many times in high school, teams play smaller guys and whatever. And it just clicked with our team with Cam and Kobe playing together, a plus minus, as I mentioned. But I said, now you go to college and they're going to need somebody who's athletic and can defend and run the floor and rebound. And the other guys, the other team's going to have taller guys, and you're going to have a chance to do that. And so in spite of all that, he was a guy who we were practicing against the zone late in the year, and I can still remember the play. There's a long rebound, and here's a guy who's not getting to play nearly what he's capable of playing as far as minutes and what he wants to play. It's late in the year, and he runs by 3, because the other guys are like, yeah, that's going out of bounds. He runs by 3 guys, lays out horizontal trying to save the ball, goes sliding across the floor to a screeching halt, and I'm like, that's why we have such a good team, because guys are that unselfish and playing like that late in the year. So, Jacob Ray, Logan Libbs is another guy, same thing, 6'8", and had moments in games where you're like, he's maybe one of the best big men in Southern Indiana. But again, because of lineups and so forth, and there just weren't enough minutes for everybody. And Logan, again, wanted to play more, but he never came in and tried to upset what we had going on. Thomas Hibbard, a guy that is one of those guys that just can do a little bit of everything. And Thomas, for years as we've watched him play, he's not the best rebounder on the team, but gets a lot of rebounds. Not the best defender, but a really good rebounder. He's the best, quick to an open guy, just making the extra pass guy that I've coached in years. And again, never said boo as far as complaining to the coaches, even though I know he wanted to play. All these guys certainly wanted to play more, and you could make a case for all of them playing more. The last 2 guys are here, and we'll start with Harrison. Harrison, there are... I think the 2 hardest things in sports are being a pinch hitter in baseball, where you're only getting like 5 at-bats a week. And like, okay, now we want you to go in and hit against the other team's 95-mile-an-hour relief pitcher. Good luck with that. That's what you do? All right, Nate. The second thing is to be a shooter off the bench in basketball, especially a shooter who's getting inconsistent minutes. And as the coaches always say the same thing. Hey, don't worry about your shot. Just go in there and play and let it fly. But as a player, you know if I make more, he's going to leave me in. That's just how it works. And so to have that job is a hard job. And not very, my college career, I was that guy. And I was not good at it. And so I have more respect for the guys who can come in that situation and make shots and consistently shoot the ball. And Harrison did that. And again, I sound like a broken record, never complained about, I mean, if Harrison would play full time, he would average double figures probably. I mean, he can score, he can shoot it. You guys come to the games and see that. And I don't know if our system is the right word, but this group of guys in our defense, and so we just became a more physical defensive team. But as I said, since losing that last game and waking up in the middle of the night virtually every night since that game, and with plays coming back to mind, and we should have done this, we should have done that. One of the 8 things that I think we could have done differently was Harrison getting more minutes as the season progressed, and so he's a guy that I'll take with me for a long time, saying if we'd done things a little differently, maybe we could have even gone farther. And just a phenomenal attitude and a great season, Harrison. Thank you. The 5th member of this second unit getting the coaches award. All of these guys, tremendous team guys. Jalen might be the most unselfish teammate I've ever been around. As far as, I mean, as I said, the difference between our guards there, when we talk about our defense, he's a good defender, he doesn't throw the ball away, he's smart, always knows the scouting report, and what we're supposed to be doing, all of those things. And also on my list of multiple things we could have done differently that last game, as I look back and as I rewatch the game, I'm like, you know, when Jalen was in the game in the first half, we did really well. But the game was going on, and I think we need to make shots in that game, and so he didn't play as much in the second half. But my point, the biggest thing is Jalen never once even had a frown on his face in the whole time that I've known him during the game, pulling for Levi and Nick and those guys in the game and constantly up talking to them, and just a phenomenal teammate. Good job. So, yep. Coach Miller, we only let Coach Miller might say, obviously he presents the defensive award because that's kind of his thing. I told him he wanted to get you guys out here and do perfect shell one more time and get the tables out of the way, but I told him we're going to have to get moving along. So he's going to give the defensive awards.
Hey, I know we're up against the clock here. This night's about to conclude. Real briefly, though, I do want to take one moment to say thank you to Coach Sturgeon, as he talks to Coach Walters, their game planning. But Coach Sturgeon, I'm trying to tell you thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I would not be prepared for opportunities that have presented themselves if not for the past 5 years I've spent with Coach Sturgeon. To have someone like him come back to the high school level and coach, he's had the #1 team in the nation, Division II. So to be able to learn from him has just been a real blessing. And I cannot be thankful enough for that. Coach Walters as well. I really think this program has had one of the best head coaches in the state of Indiana, and I think that's been proven. And Coach Walters, I think, is one of the best assistant coaches in this area. And also then our players, and as Coach talked about, the whole feeder system with Coach Eads, our Coach Weimer, Coach Yeoman, and the whole team. As Coach has already talked about, so I won't mention everyone, but you know who you are. And boy, thanks so much to all of you, and of course the players. Boy, guys, you all. Some of you too. I don't know you guys as well, but man, the past few seasons especially. This has been special. It really has been. For me, I've been coaching for about 10 years. Not. Hopefully, I'll be able to coach as many years and have as much success as Coach Sturgeon. And
I know you're not intentionally trying to make me feel old.
But to have the staff we had and the camaraderie and care we had for each other, and then to have the boys we had, it's been really special. The past several years, it doesn't get much better than what it has been. And as these guys also said, that's also a testament to the parents. And we've had great parents. Like great success comes with great people, and that's really what we've had in this program is great people. So thank you for that. The defensive award, as Coach said, we were trying to do some defensive shell drill here, but Kobe was like, "No, I'm not playing more defense." But hey, you know, defense takes toughness, it takes grit, it takes a will, and I'll be honest, we had a lot of guys who fit that bill over the past several years. But you know, and the coaching staff definitely came to a consensus, you know, on these two guys who really made defense their calling card and took great pride in it. So Cam Sturgeon, get on up here, and Levi Seward. Levi. So Cam and Levi, you guys deserve this.
Cam and Levi this year, they're almost in tandem. Like when we would watch the stats, and when they came out of the game, the other team's, like on a graph that we get from our stats, the other team's points per possession flies almost, well, not straight up, but makes a tremendous. And so for two guys who don't score many points, don't get a lot of assists, they get some rebounds and do some things, but just by their voice, and you freshmen, this is what you have to know, is by talking and by what they did in the weight room physically, what they brought to our team had such an impact on the score, and so that's the reason why. Those two guys, statistically, as we watched those, were kind of joined at the hip, and so that's the reason we gave that award to the as co-defensive players of the year. Last individual award, and then we got something for all the varsity and JV guys to commemorate the season. In the past, we've kind of divided things up as far as we've had our what we call our plus-minus award for the guy who affected the score the greatest. We would have offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, different things. Since I've been the coach here, we haven't given a most valuable player award. I think it was pretty clear this year we had a most valuable player, Kobe Barnes. Ninth leading scorer in the state of Indiana, 26 points per game. That's pretty good. 900 points this season. Is that right? No, 600 points this season. Over 600 points is a phenomenal number. He scored his 1,000th point at Castle, and then just decided, I'm going to just go ahead and get 1,500 this year. And so he ended up with over 1,500 points. And I think now we're still trying to do some final tallying there. He and Pat Graham and Jerry Hale are like within just a few points of each other. And I think Kobe's going to finish third all-time at Floyd Central, but just an eyelash. Those guys are all right there together, the all-time leading scorer at Floyd Central High School. Pretty good. It's made, as we've already seen some of this, but I barely touched on it. How many postseason all-star games you get invited to play in? A lot. There you go. At least 3. And then now you've got the big one, the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star game. Sometime next fall, we're going to get hang another jersey up there on the wall with an All-Star jersey. So, so we've worked that out with his schedule next year. We'll all come back around for a ceremony, and hopefully everybody can get a chance to get out to one of the All-Star games. 2 All-Star games, one here at Bellarmine, one in Indy, and the Junior All-Star games in Newcastle. Be a good trip also, coming up here in a couple of weeks. So just a phenomenal season, and made himself one of the all-time greats here at Floyd Central High School. Most valuable player of this season, Cody Ball. Okay, we got, when we have a season like we have where we win a championship, we like to do something for the players on the team, and so this is an acrylic thing, you know, you never know what to get, a plaque to hang on the wall or whatever, and so
Yeoman Weimer told me not to mention
this
that.
is just something you can set on the shelf, and it says 2018-19 Floyd Central basketball, back-to-back Hoosier Hills Conference champions. Indiana basketball coaches and Associated Press, 4th-ranked team in the state of Indiana in the Final Poll. School record, 43 points per game allowed. And, wait, a little slip up, we might, didn't have the record, 21-3. 21-3, a phenomenal season that you guys should all be proud of. So, all you guys that work every day in the varsity practice, come on up. And we got something here for you. We got, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to, I've been dreading this the last time they're all together. So just a phenomenal year. Again, we said this multiple times. Thank you for all that you do. Think about your dad. All right, great year, you guys. Good job. All right, try to get this over here. I know you're probably going to be mad at me for saying that. I just know how proud he would have been. The banners that hung in the gym, we're trying to get them up in here, and we're afraid they're going to keep falling down. And so seniors picked those up, and we got graduation coming up. And if anybody would like to play an all-star game, tickets, come and see me. Thank you again. Have a great weekend. You guys got finals next week. And you guys got finals. You're not graduated yet. Okay? Thanks so much.
Were they supposed to get these down there too? To get all of them.